A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a move that has ignited significant controversy, former President Donald Trump has labeled Afrikaners, a minority group in South Africa descended from Dutch colonists, as victims of genocide. This declaration coincides with the arrival of 59 white South Africans in the United States, part of a refugee program initiated by the Trump administration aimed at providing sanctuary from what has been described as racial discrimination against this community. The arrival took place on Monday at Dulles International Airport, where U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau welcomed the newcomers, expressing respect for their struggles over the past few years and acknowledging their cultural heritage. Trump's administration had previously offered to resettle Afrikaners, asserting that they face increasing harassment and violence in their homeland. This stance has been met with backlash, as many commentators argue that systemic racism in South Africa is still a pressing issue, particularly for the black population, who continue to face disparities in land ownership and economic opportunities. The end of apartheid in 1994 marked a significant turning point, yet the legacy of racial inequality remains evident. In January, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa introduced a new law aimed at addressing land ownership disparities, allowing for state expropriation of land under specific circumstances. This legislation has drawn criticism from Trump, who expressed his disapproval on social media, claiming that South Africa was treating certain groups very badly. The U.S. government subsequently granted refugee status to Afrikaners in light of this law. Trump's comments have sparked outrage, particularly as they align with white nationalist narratives that suggest Afrikaners are under existential threat. Right-wing groups, including the Afrikaner lobby organization AfriForum, have perpetuated these claims, despite statistics indicating that white South Africans continue to hold a significant majority of the country's wealth and land. Critics have pointed out that the narrative of a white genocide is unfounded, especially when considering the broader context of violence in South Africa, which sees thousands of murders annually across all demographics. In response to Trump's asylum offer, many younger Afrikaners have taken to social media to mock the situation, highlighting the privileges that white individuals still enjoy in South Africa today. The South African government has firmly rejected Trump's claims, asserting that they are completely false and that Afrikaners remain among the richest and most economically privileged groups in the nation. President Ramaphosa has publicly expressed his disagreement with Trump's characterization of the issue, labeling the calls for refugee status as stemming from a fringe grouping that is resistant to transformation and change. He has indicated that he will continue to engage with the U.S. government on this matter, emphasizing the importance of dialogue. Tensions between the Trump administration and South Africa have escalated, particularly following the expulsion of South Africa's ambassador to the U.S. due to criticisms directed at Trump. The freeze on U.S. aid to South Africa has also raised concerns, especially regarding programs aimed at combating the HIV/AIDS epidemic, which is one of the most severe in the world. The proposed tariffs on South African goods have further complicated trade relations, creating anxiety among South African leaders. The arrival of the Afrikaners in the U.S. comes at a time when the Trump administration is largely restricting refugee admissions from other nations plagued by violence and persecution. This selective approach raises questions about the motivations behind Trump's actions and the implications for U.S. immigration policy moving forward. As more Afrikaners are expected to resettle in the U.S. in the coming months, the international community watches closely. Considering the broader ramifications of this unfolding situation on U.S.-South Africa relations and the ongoing discourse surrounding race and privilege in both countries. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.